Hello, and welcome to Truth Beyond the Veil. This is your quiet corner of the chaotic cosmos, where curiosity meets calm, where we gently knock on the doors of history that have been closed for centuries. Before we begin our deep and celestial journey tonight, I'd love to connect with you. I'd love to know where in the world you are watching from, and what time is it right now on your clock. Let me know in the comments below. It brings a strange comfort to know that, even though we are drifting in different corners of the globe, we are together in this search for truth and in the silence of the night. And if you enjoy this voyage and find peace in my voice, consider giving this video a gentle like and perhaps subscribing to the channel, so that the next time we step into the mist of the past, you are right there with me. Now, it is time for you to forget the world for a while. I want you to settle in, wherever you are sitting or lying down, and let yourself go completely loose. Take a deep breath, and slowly let it out. Whatever work you did today, whatever bills you paid, whatever arguments you had, or whatever worries are riding on your mind, imagine they are like a heavy coat, and you have taken that coat off and left it outside the room. Right now, you have no responsibilities. Right now, you have nowhere to go, nothing to solve. You are safe. Now, close your eyes and let my words become your vision. We are going far away from the world of today. We are stepping out of this noise and into the lap of nature. But this is not nature that only gives you peace. This is nature that guards the world's greatest secrets. Imagine, we are on the northern coast of the state of California. Here, the waves of the Pacific Ocean crash against the land, and the deep white fog rising from them slowly creeps across the earth. We are heading north of San Francisco, about 75 miles away, to a small town called Monterrey. The path here is not straight. These are winding roads, twisting like snakes, that lead you inside an ancient and dense forest. As you move deeper inside, the sunlight begins to dim. You must be feeling the chill of the air on your skin. This is no ordinary air. It has moisture, it has the scent of soil, and it carries the fragrance of centuries-old wood. The masters here are not humans. The masters here are the trees. These are the redwoods, those majestic giants that are thousands of years old. These trees are so tall that if you stand at their roots and look up, you will not see the sky. Only a canopy of green leaves that locks the world out. These trees are the silent sentinels. They have seen centuries pass, they have seen storms, and they have seen those guests coming into this forest who are not ordinary humans. It is the month of July. In the rest of the world, there is heat. The sun is raining fire. But inside this forest, it is spread over 2,700 acres. There is a strange chill. When the wind passes through the trees here, it creates a whispering sound. Shoo, shoo. Centuries-old leaves are scattered on the ground. Walking on them does not create the sound of footsteps, but rather absorbs them into the soft earth. The chirping of birds is less here, and a mysterious silence is more prevalent. But, in the middle of July, this silence is disturbed. Suddenly, at the nearby airport, a procession of private planes, Gulfstream jets, and helicopters begins. Flights land here from every corner of the world. The people disembarking from these planes are not tourists. They are not ordinary people dressed in shorts and t-shirts with cameras hanging around their necks. These are the people you see daily on TV. These are the faces that are in the headlines of newspapers. Former presidents of America, current ministers, CEOs of the world's largest banks, owners of oil companies. These are the people who run the world. But today, they too have come here in search of the same peace that you are seeking with me right now. All of them sit into long, black, bulletproof vehicles, limousines. The windows of the cars are tinted black so that the outside world cannot look in. This convoy slowly leaves the city lights behind and turns onto the dark roads of this ancient forest. This is a road that the locals call the Bohemian Highway. Finally, this convoy stops in front of a heavy gate. This is the door that separates two worlds. Outside the gate is the ordinary world, where there are laws, where there is media, where there are taxes, and where there is the struggle of the common man. Inside the gate is a separate universe, where no law from the outside applies. Above this gate, on a wooden plaque, a very strange and philosophical sentence is written, "Weaving spiders come not here." This is a line taken from a play by Shakespeare. It means that the people coming here should leave their business, their politics, and their webs outside. Here, they come only to rest and to enjoy nature. But, is it really so? If this is just a picnic, then why are snipers deployed here? If this is just entertainment, then why are there sensors and high-security fences all around it? History tells us that in 1942, in the silence of this very forest, the plan for the atom bomb was finalized. History tells us that American presidents come here to give interviews before being elected. So tonight, we will cross this gate. Avoiding the eyes of these security forces, we will walk in the shadows of these giant trees. We will see what the world's most powerful people become when they take off their suits and ties. This journey might make you uneasy, but it will give you a new vision. This is Bohemian Grove, America's forbidden garden, where the elite practice becoming gods. But the question is, how did this all begin? Did the presidents and bankers of America choose this forest from the very first day? No. History is never that simple. The reality is that the foundation of Bohemian Grove was laid not on power, but on rebellion and art. We must turn the wheel of time forward a little from 1832, Skull and Bones. We stop in the year 1872. Location, San Francisco. Imagine the San Francisco of that era. It was the time after the gold rush. Money was flowing through the city. Everywhere there were the nouveau riche, people who had newly become rich from gold mines and railways. These people were stiff, serious, and dry-tempered businessmen. But, in the same city, another class lived. Newspaper journalists, playwrights, poets, musicians, and actors. These people were poor. Their clothes might have been dirty, but their souls were free. These people called themselves Bohemians. The word Bohemian was originally used for gypsies, but in the 19th century, it became the identity of those artists who did not accept the restrictions of society. Their philosophy was, life is short, do not waste it counting money, but spend it singing songs, drinking wine, and telling stories. On a warm evening in 1872, a few of these journalists decided they needed a place where they could stay away from these serious businessmen and their boring conversations. A place where no one would ask, "How much do you earn?" They laid the foundation of the Bohemian Club. Initially, this club was in a rented room inside the city, and then they chose this forest, the Grove, for their summer holidays so they could be close to nature. In those early days, Bohemian Grove was a paradise. Bonfires burned all night, guitars were played, Shakespeare plays were performed, and cheap wine was consumed. Laughing and crying were free there. It was in this era that they adopted that famous motto, "Weaving spiders come not here," meaning, spiders weaving webs of business and politics should not come here, only artists will come here. But then a huge problem arose. Art and freedom are very good things, but they do not fill the stomach, nor can forest land be bought with them. These journalists and poets were broke. They did not have the money to pay the club's rent. And here came a massive ironic twist of history. To keep the club alive, they decided to give membership to a few wealthy businessmen as well. They thought, these rich people will become our patrons. They will only give money, but the culture of the club will remain ours. This was their biggest mistake. It was exactly as if sheep had invited wolves to repair their house. Slowly, the scene began to change. First, a few rich men came. Then, they invited their rich friends, the bankers of San Francisco, railroad tycoons, and then the politicians of Washington, D.C. They had money, and with money comes power. Within a few decades, the original Bohemians, the artists, were left in the minority, and the very spiders whom the board at the gate was meant to stop wove their web over the entire forest. Today, in 2024, artists still exist in Bohemian Grove, but they are no longer the masters. Now they go there as employees or entertainers. Plays are still performed there today, songs are sung, orchestras play. But who are the listeners? The presidents of America, directors of the CIA, and owners of multinational companies. Those poets who had dreamed of freedom, their souls might be weeping behind these trees today. Because the temple of freedom they built has now become a fortress of power. Art has knelt before politics, and when this transformation was complete, these new masters began to build their own world inside the forest. They built small camps amongst the trees. These camps are not ordinary tents. They are separate islands of authority. Let us see what secret bungalows are hidden behind these trees. Let us walk further past the main gate now. The scent of redwood and the smell of burning wood permeates the air. As we go deeper into the forest, we realize that this place is not chaotic. There is a system here. This 2,700-acre forest is divided into more than 100 small sections. These sections are called camps. Every camp has its own name, its own history, and its own separate empire. On the surface, they look like simple wooden cabins, but the world inside them is more luxurious than five-star hotels. Even here in the forest, there is a hierarchy. Down on the flat ground, where the ordinary camps are, reside university professors, minor politicians, and new businessmen. But, as you climb up the hill, the power increases. Look to the left. Here is a camp named Hillbillies. Hearing this name, you might think that perhaps villagers live here, but the reality is the opposite. This camp has been the favorite haunt of the Bush family. Here, America's major bankers and industrialists stay. How many decisions regarding global economic crises must the wooden walls of this place have heard? Walk a little further, towards the heights. There, hidden in a cluster of trees, is the most powerful, most secret, and most expensive camp. Its name is Mandalay. Mandalay Camp is the White House of Bohemian Grove. Even ordinary members are not allowed to enter here. Security guards stand separately here. Why? Because the presidents of America stay here. People like Henry Kissinger, people like Colin Powell, and the owners of the world's largest defense contractor companies meet here for dinner. It is said that maps of the world are changed at the dinner table of Mandalay Camp. The atmosphere of these camps is very strange. There is a very strict rule here. No phones, no cameras, no business deals, officially. Apparently, doing business here is forbidden. But when two powerful men, cut off from the world, sit before a bonfire with a glass of the most expensive wine in hand, they do not talk about the weather. They make deals. But papers are not signed here. Words are given here. And the word given at Bohemian Grove is stronger than the law. There is another thing that makes this atmosphere strange. Here, men are completely free. No women can come here, except for employees, and they too leave at night. Here, these billionaires, who remain bound in suits and ties before the world, walk around in shorts. They urinate behind trees. This is a famous tradition here. Freedom to pee anywhere. They make crude jokes. They get intoxicated. This is a dark part of their psychology. They control the world, but for 2 weeks a year, they do not want to obey any law themselves. They want to become wild again. So, when the night deepens, and sounds of laughter come from the camps of Mandalay and hillbillies, it is not just the laughter of friends, it is the laughter of the confidence that the outside world is sleeping and we are awake. We can do whatever we want. But the path of all these camps ultimately leads to one place, towards a lake located in the middle of the forest, where their biggest and most terrifying secret awaits them. The owl. The night has grown deep. There is no longer silence in the forest, but a strange, palpable tension. We leave behind the luxurious camps of Mandalay and hillbillies and descend upon a rough dirt path. This path leads us to the very heart of the forest, where a lake lies waiting. The water of this lake is pitch black, reflecting the faint shimmer of a few stars scattered across the sky. But lift your gaze and look towards the other shore of the lake. Something is standing there in the darkness. Something massive, something ancient, and something terrifying. It is a 40-foot-tall statue, constructed of stone and concrete, a great owl. The body of this owl is covered in moss, making it appear thousands of years old. Its large, stony eyes stare blankly into the waters of the lake, as if peering into the soul of every visitor. The Bohemian members call it the Owl Shrine. For them, it is a symbol of wisdom, for the owl can see even in the darkness. But for the outside world, it is a living nightmare. Now, the hands of the clock are ticking towards the moment when the ritual of the Cremation of Care will be performed. This is the ceremony that has birthed conspiracy theories across the entire globe. Suddenly, the faint sound of drums echoes through the forest. Thrum, thrum, thrum. And then, a procession emerges from behind the trees. Seeing this scene might send a cold shiver down your spine. Why? Because these men have now taken off their expensive Italian suits. They have taken off their casual shorts. Now they are wearing robes, some in deep crimson red, some in black, and some in silver. On their heads are pointed hoods that conceal their faces. This scene is not from a Hollywood horror movie, nor is it the Ku Klux Klan, as some people mistakenly believe. These are the rulers of America, who, at this moment, have assumed the guise of ancient Druid priests. In their hands, they hold torches, whose flames lick the night air. The light of the fire dances not on their faces, but on the rippling water of the lake. Silently, walking in a single file, they all gather near the feet of the owl statue. Then, a small boat appears on the surface of the lake. This boat is carrying a coffin, but inside this coffin there is no human. Inside lies an effigy made of wood and cloth. It is a skeleton-like doll. They name it care, worry, or anxiety. It is their belief that this effigy holds within it the burden of all their worldly worries, their sorrows, and perhaps their sins. The boat docks at the shore. A high priest dressed in a crimson robe steps forward. In his hand is a burning torch. In the background, a heavy, booming voice resonates, often a recording. This voice speaks on behalf of the owl. Fools, 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 when will ye learn that me ye cannot slay? And then, in a dramatic moment, this effigy is placed onto a pyre laid at the feet of the owl. The priest sets it alight with his torch. Whoosh! Flames leap towards the sky. The entire forest is bathed in orange light. The shadow of the 40-foot-tall owl falls upon these small humans, As the fire rages, the hundreds of members present there, considered the most civilized men in the world, begin to scream and shout. They clap, they chant. Simultaneously, recordings of agonizing screams are played over loudspeakers to simulate that Care is burning in pain. This scene is incredibly surreal and bizarre. Just imagine. On one side stands the President of the United States, on the other, the world's biggest banker, and both are clapping like children, watching a doll burn. What is this? Is this some satanic worship? Is this a sacrifice to the ancient Canaanite god Moloch, as Alex Jones and other theorists claim? Or is it just theater, a drama that these men stage to release their mental stress? They say, "We burn our worries here so that we can be refreshed to rule the world again." But for an ordinary human standing outside the forest, this scene is hard to digest. When he sees that the fingers upon whose command the world dances are here worshipping the fire. When the fire cools down and only ash remains, the music changes. Now, not a dirge, but a tune of celebration plays. The cremation of care is complete. Now they are free. For the next 2 weeks, their consciences, their worries, and their responsibilities will remain buried in this pile of ash. But that owl, that silent stone deity, remains standing there. The reflection of the fire still glimmers in its eyes, as if it knows that while these men may burn their worries, they cannot escape their sins. We have seen how they symbolically burn their consciences and their cares. But when the ashes cool down and the smoke clears, what happens then? Do they go back to writing poems? Or, with this refreshed mind, do they make plans that change human history forever? There is one page of history that is embedded like a dagger in the chest of Bohemian Grove. This is the story of September 1942. In the outside world, World War II was at its peak. Europe was burning. Japanese forces were advancing in Asia. Thousands of miles away, cities were being bombed. Buildings were turning into piles of rubble, and humanity was screaming. But here, north of San Francisco, beneath these ancient redwood trees, there was complete peace. Here, there was no sound of war, only the whispers of the wind. Amidst this silence, a table was set in the clubhouse of Bohemian Grove. The people sitting around this table were not ordinary politicians. They were the wizards of science and physics. The most prominent name among them was Ernest Lawrence, a Nobel Prize-winning scientist and a member of this club. With him were James Conant, the president of Harvard University, and other high-ranking military officers. And it is said that during this period, the shadow of Robert Oppenheimer was also seen walking among these trees. It was a strange and bizarre scene. Just imagine. Crystal glasses sit on the table, filled with the most expensive sparkling wine. The smoke of expensive cigars curls upwards towards the ceiling, dancing in the air. Waiters are silently serving food. The atmosphere is very pleasant, jovial, and friendly. But, amidst these glasses and plates, papers are spread out on the table. No poetry is written on these papers. No musical notes are scribbled there. Complex mathematical equations are written on them. Formulas for uranium and plutonium are sketched out. That afternoon, in the shade of these trees, a decision was made that brought the power of the sun down to Earth. Here, the secret meeting of the S1 committee took place, which finalized the Manhattan Project. This was the project whose goal was to build the world's first atom bomb. This is the greatest paradox in the history of Bohemian Grove. Remember what was written on the gate? "Weaving spiders, come not here." But on that September afternoon, history's biggest, most venomous, and most terrifying web was woven right here. A web in which the entire world was about to be trapped. The death warrant for hundreds of thousands of people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, was signed not in a closed room at the Pentagon, but in this idyllic spot amidst the clinking of wine glasses. When these men sat there discussing splitting the atom, did the trees not stop them? Did that 40-foot-tall wise owl not warn them? No, the forest remained silent. Because this is the very quality of this place. This place does not cut you off from the world. It cuts you off from the consequences of the world. Sitting here, even destruction feels like an art. Here, the death of millions becomes merely a statistic. Perhaps that is why they burn the Cremation of Care first, so that when they sit at this table and make decisions that could wipe out generations, their hands do not tremble, so that they can sign with a smile and then calmly light their cigar. This meeting remains to this day both the greatest pride and the greatest secret of Bohemian Grove. Even today, when new members go there, they are shown that spot and told, "This is the place where we turned the tide of history." But these people who turn the tide of history, are they truly human? Or has the air of this forest turned them into something else? Let us look closely at the faces that come here every year. From Richard Nixon to Ronald Reagan, why are they all captives of this magical forest? We saw the geography of this place. We saw the terrifying rituals performed there. We saw the deadliest plans forged there. But the real power of any place lies not in its walls or trees. Its true power lies in the people who breathe there. So the question is, who goes there? If you pick up the list of Bohemian Grove, you will feel as if you are reading the who's who of history. Just imagine that you are standing behind a tree in this forest. You see an elderly man with wrinkles on his face, wearing a simple shirt, walking by. He is no ordinary old man. He is Dwight D. Eisenhower, the hero of World War II and the former President of America. Walk a little further. There, around a bonfire, two men are sitting and laughing. One is Ronald Reagan, and the other is Richard Nixon. Both are future presidents. Here, they are not talking about politics. Here, they are not trying to impress voters. Here, they are just friends. And this is where the biggest and deepest secret of Bohemian Grove lies. In the outside world, on TV screens, we are told that Democrats and Republicans are mortal enemies. We are shown that liberals and conservatives hate each other. The public fights each other over their slogans. But inside this forest, that enmity is left outside the gate. Here, you will see Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford eating at the same table. Here, Henry Kissinger, wearing his signature glasses, sits with a media tycoon, like Walter Cronkite, discussing the future of the world. Seeing this scene might break the heart of an ordinary man, because he realizes that the politics outside is merely a theater. The real decisions are not made in Parliament. The real lines of friendship and enmity are drawn here, over glasses of wine. But does every president like this place? No, that is not the case. For some, this place is a temple of power, but for others, this place is strange and incomprehensible. Richard Nixon, who was himself the President of America and a member here, had a secret recording, the Nixon tapes surface. In this tape, he was talking about Bohemian Grove, and the words he used were shocking. He did not praise the place, rather, he expressed disgust. He said, "The Bohemian Grove is the most faggy goddamn thing you could ever imagine." Nixon was referring to the bizarre plays performed there, men wearing women's clothes to act, and the unserious atmosphere of the place. But, despite the hatred, Nixon kept going there. Why? Because he knew that the road to becoming the President of America passes through this very forest. If you want the support of the elite, you have to sit around this fire, whether you like the place or not. This is a compulsion. Getting a membership here is no easy task. Having money alone is not enough. If you apply today, your turn might come 20 or 30 years later. People spend their entire youth waiting. Why? Just so they can walk inside that gate once and say, "I am one of them." This is not just a club for politicians. Here, America's richest families, the Rockefellers, Morgans, and Watsons, send their generations. Here, the owners of media houses, who tell us the news daily, become part of the news themselves. Here, military generals, who draw maps of wars, play golf with businessmen. This is an undeclared parliament. A parliament where there is no camera, no journalist, and no record. The promises made here are not made to the public, but to each other. When you see these faces against the backdrop of this forest, you see a different side of their humanity. Outside, they are giants. But here, beneath these ancient trees, they too look small. Perhaps that is why they come here, to erase the fear that they are mortal. Here, they assure each other, "We are the masters of the world." But, do these trees believe their words, or are these silent redwoods laughing at them? For these trees have seen many such powerful men come and eventually turn to dust. The 2 weeks of July have passed. That hustle and bustle no longer remains in this forest. The last private jet has taken off from the Santa Rosa airport. The last black limousine has wound its way back from that twisting road, disappearing into the city lights. Those luxurious camps of Mandalay and hillbillies, which until yesterday were echoing with laughter and conspiracies, are once again deserted. The fire has been extinguished. At the feet of the owl statue, only a pile of ash remains, which the wind is slowly blowing away. Bohemian Grove is once again wrapping itself in the blanket of silence. But, when all these powerful people leave, who is left behind? Only one thing: the trees. Just think for a moment from the perspective of these redwood trees. These trees are 2,000 years old. When Jesus, A.S., walked this earth, these were tiny saplings. When the Roman Empire was at its peak, they were growing young. When Columbus reached America, they had already become giants. These trees have seen many people come and go on this land. They saw the ancient native tribes who considered this land sacred and worshipped it. They saw the Spanish adventurers who came here in search of gold. They saw the poor woodcutters who came with axes. And now, they are watching these suited and booted rulers who come here to practice being gods. For these trees, the President of America is no more important than an ant. In their eyes, even that plan for the atom bomb was nothing more than a gust of wind. Why? Because the trees know that man is mortal. His power, his pride, his wealth, everything is temporary. These people think they are the masters of the world because they have bought a piece of land. But the truth is that the earth belongs to no one. We are all just tenants here. The biggest lesson of Bohemian Grove is not that conspiracies happen there. The biggest lesson is that man, no matter how powerful he becomes, fears nature. These billionaires, who make the world dance on their fingertips, why do they hide here? Because they are tired of the world they themselves created. They are afraid of the web they themselves have woven. They write on the gate, "Weaving spiders come not here." But the truth is that they themselves are the biggest spiders, and they are trapped in their own web. They come here to find peace, but they cannot buy peace. They can burn their care, but they cannot burn their deeds. When they go back to Washington or Wall Street, they wear that mask again. But this forest has seen their true face. Tonight, when you lie in your bed, the world might seem very terrifying to you. You will think that a few people sitting in the dark are deciding our fate. This fear is natural. But remember, darkness is only terrifying as long as no light falls upon it. And tonight, together, we have cast light on the deepest corner of this dark forest. We have stared into the eyes of the owl. We have peeked behind the closed doors of Mandalay. Now this secret is no longer a secret. The real secret of power lies in hiding. And when you expose something, its magic breaks. These people are not giants. They are merely frightened humans trying to hide behind big trees. Our journey ends here. But the journey of truth beyond the veil will continue. There are still many doors left to knock on. There are still many masks left to be torn away. If this journey has compelled you to think, then remain a part of this caravan. Because staying awake is the proof of being alive. Like these redwood trees, remain calm, remain deep, and keep watching everything. But never let go of your roots. Because storms will come and go, governments will rise and fall, but the truth will always stand in its place. Let your mind wander free. Tonight's sleep will not be an ordinary sleep. It will be the sleep of an awakened mind. Good night.